Hello, team, and welcome back to another Line Warcast. This is a 3v3 today between Alex Donald Roland, aka ADR, on blue, Bigler in red, and Barracuda in orange. And on Bravo team is Energize in teal, Easy in pink, and Kartoffelman in green. We got Bigler in the bottom left, Alex Donald Roland in the kind of center left, and then their teammate Barracuda on this peninsula right here. On Bravo team, Easy's going for 3 tanks on this island with 2 Alpha Team players. Teammate Energizes in the center going for a rocket immediately, and the rocket is on the launch pad and starting to build. And then Kartoffelman is up to the north, going for a sub-pen and a quick dock that is building a destroyer with 2 barracks. And that's the setup. Very early eco for Barracuda, adding on a port to this town and 3 docks. It's a very navy heavy map. There's a lot of water here, so it makes a lot of sense for players to go for dock openers. And after these 3 tanks, these 3 factories making tanks rather, Easy's going for a refinery and a submarine pen. In general, the submarine pen, if the subs can get around here and get past all of these orange boats, the submarine pen investment will work out. Otherwise, there's a chance that Barracuda is going to be able to shut down the sub pen very quickly. And in general, Easy's in a little bit of a not easy situation, being in a 2v1 down here in the bottom right, because ADR is going to find this very quickly. This is Alpha Team's vision. First tank is showing up. The refinery has that negative stealth bonus because it's not in the forest. So already right away, Alpha Team knows that there is a Bravo Team player down here, and this is the response that we get. Power plant for Barracuda to keep the boats running. A factory after the barracks, and ADR is got 5 barracks rather, and 2 factories in this forest and mountain. And this will be very difficult for Easy to actually push through. If Pink elected to go to the left, it looks like at the moment Easy wants to go up towards the north, towards Barracuda. But as soon as this blue production shows up, Barracuda might be okay, might be safe in this location and be able to fend off the tank attacks. It certainly will be only tanks from Pink. I can't imagine that Pink is going to switch this up into anything else, given the refinery and now a depot already being built. And if we look at Bravo Team's vision, this is what Easy's been able to see. The first barracks shows up. The other buildings are going to be more difficult for Pink to see because they are in the mountains and forest and they get that stealth bonus. But now that the buildings are starting to complete and it's artillery pieces from Blue, this is going to be a lot of blue units that are going to mass up here. The benefit of this for Blue by building all these producers here without any docks or anything is that it's going to be very difficult for Pink to do anything, and Blue and Orange might be able to destroy Pink very quickly. But then the flip side of that is that Blue's not going to be able to expand to other islands as quickly, which might not be a big deal because Bigler might be able to expand more quickly to get all these little islands. We've seen in general on these maps that are a lot of small islands like this, that one of the key things is how quickly teams can get to the different little islands to get these eco spots, right? I mean, there's only a handful of territories on each of the small islands, but they add up over time. The big thing for Pink that might pay off here is this rocket that's on the way for Energize. And Teal might pick it perfectly. So Teal's going to actually send it towards Orange's base, which makes a lot of sense because this is Bravo Team's vision, so they're not really sure if there's a lot of buildings in this mountain range, but sure they've seen that this exists. It'll take out probably everything up to the power plant. And it does. So one submarine is chasing one cruiser. This one cruiser can't see the submarine because of the vision, and generally need 3 boats or a destroyer around to actually see a submarine. So for now, Easy's okay. 2 tanks is actually enough to take on what Orange has here, because it's just this one infantry which somehow went flying. I love that. The ragdoll physics. And now Kartoffel's able to put some more pressure on Barracuda as well with this first striker out of this airport. Energize adding that second town to the north, another rocket on the launch pad for Energize, and that will be very important. And Energize also landing right here, so great play from Bravo Team to come to the rescue for Pink very quickly. Great attempt at sniping this refinery from Energize. If Orange was able to destroy that, then obviously Pink's tanks wouldn't stop moving immediately because of this depot that's been collecting energy over time, but it would put Pink on a little bit of a timer, and since that hasn't happened, Pink's going to be able to continue to run tanks, and we see that Pink's still building 3 tanks at a time. The landing with 2 transport boats is decent. Really what this does for Bravo Team is it kind of confirms that Blue has built a lot of buildings in this forest and mountain range. And now there's 4 tanks for easy on top of Barracuda's factory. We'll see if Barracuda decides to run for a play to get... I mean, I guess there's nothing really that Barracuda can do. This is an interesting situation because there's no barracks for Orange. There's no transport boat, so it's not like Orange can just jet off to a different part of the map and then start rebuilding. And it's unclear to me how Barracuda is going to be able to stay in this game with these 2 subs for easy and then 5 tanks to clear out all these docks. There's a chance that with the cruisers from Orange, they'll be able to destroy the tanks as they're trying to get to the docks and going close to the coast. But since Orange is out of energy, maybe that won't be able to happen. Either way, Pink's going to do a lot of damage here. This pushes ADR into going towards Easy's base and going for a more dedicated push. Certainly there's enough producing structures for Blue to be able to do this. This will be a little bit of a difficult hold for Easy. The good thing for Pink is that they're building tanks, and tanks are by far the best unit to build on land. So maybe they'll be able to chip away at this artillery and infantry army for Blue, but we'll have to see. Kartoffel still has these strikers here, which can definitely help out. There's only 1 missile boat for Orange. And on the rest of the map, we take a top-down picture. This is, you know, green is what Bravo Team has, and blue is what Alpha Team has. Bigler off the left, still pretty much left to themselves, got 5 docks going, has the 1 refinery, has another energy location that they could take. Probably relatively soon because of how many boats that Red is going to make, and look at that. Look at that timing. That's that top-level commentary that you tune in to see. So Red's getting that 2nd refinery up and running. 5 docks is certainly a lot of boats. They take a lot of energy. And now ADR is going to split some of the army off to defend Barracuda. And it's going to work. The 3 submarines for Easy are really what's a big deal here. If we look at Alpha Team's vision, they're just outside of range. They destroy one of the docks. This leaves Barracuda with just 1 dock left, builds another barracks to make sure that they don't lose all of their buildings. This is actually, I think, a very good spot for Barracuda to build the barracks. And a 2nd barracks as well, because Blue's army can kind of defend these buildings as they push towards Easy's base. Here comes another rocket. Surely it's going towards ADR's starting location, and this is going to get pretty much every building except for maybe one of the barracks. And that is what happens. This northernmost barracks is probably still alive, and it is. We'll see if ADR just decides to rebuild this, because Blue has a decent amount of economy. There's a town, 2 industries. So Blue's money is pretty decent. We can see in the top right that ADR is making about 400 per minute. This attack that Bigler went for to try to snipe one of the docks of Energize got shut down. And this digging of artillery along the coast will make it even more difficult. If Red decides to do that again, they'd have to take a different angle to be able to destroy the dock. And by this point, Kartoffel nearly has a full airport worth of strikers. There's 4 in the air right now. There's another striker being built. Energize has a lot of industry here and starting to work on what will be a trade route in this very protected bay. And in fact, it'll be 2 trade routes that Energize is working on that Kartoffel is working on at the moment. With all this infantry, they're pushing towards this other town location. And we can see just how effective tanks are. Kartoffel's got 2 infantry here to help out. Clearly, Easy's in a little bit of trouble. trying to stay alive. And I wonder what this is. Kartoffel might be trying to evacuate some pink units away so that they get to a different landmass to not lose all of these buildings. But it's really only 6 artillery pieces left for blue, and then 4 barracks worth of Barracuda's forces that will try to help out those artillery pieces while they push. This is a lot of cruisers for Bigler, who's secured a 3rd refinery on this center island, where Energize has just landed. And Energize has their 1st refinery up here in the water. There is another rocket on the way, that's a big deal. It could be useful to destroy these barracks from Barracuda, or maybe even sniping Red's navy if they run out of gas. If you look at Bravo Team's vision, they have a decent idea of the different buildings that Alpha Team has, and Kartoffel's strikers are going to be very, very good. Because there's no anti-air here for blue at all. And blue or orange. There's no real way there could have been. It's not like ADR would have wanted to build SAMs given that there was heavy tank pressure from Easy. And unfortunately for blue, this factory is in range of Kartoffel's cruiser. Now that Kartoffel has 5 strikers, we'll probably see an airstrip go down pretty quickly, so that Green can continue to build strikers. Green also has a city on the way, so this is a lot of economy for Kartoffel. And Energize is the first one to build a barracks on this central island, which could be a big deal because it'll allow Teal to actually push this red refinery and destroy it. There's a 6th dock for Bigler now, who's got another town on the left, and all of these industry completed. So this could be a city, or rather, what's the city? This could be the city, with all these roads leading to this town. So that could be upgraded to a city for Red relatively quickly. A very aggressive defensive line for Barracuda, but the tanks are running into it, so for now it's kind of working out. Of course, these infantry in here, after they dig in, they get a little bit of that fatigue damage. But it still might work out. They're at least buying time and not allowing these pink tanks to get right on top of the producers super quickly. And Bigler has cornered these 2 green boats and will destroy those cruisers in perfect timing so that this factory stays alive. The rocket, the 3rd one of the game for Energize, is nearly completed. It's an interesting thing to think about where Energize wants to put this rocket. I think the best spot to put it is potentially right here on Barracuda's buildings. Just because Bravo Team's vision, I mean, only seeing a barracks and a factory in this mountain range makes it feel kind of sketchy to launch a rocket into there. It might not be super worth. And this is in fact what Kartoffel's transport boat did, which it sent Easy's 2 infantry over here to cap this, so Pink can build a barracks here if they were at risk of losing all their starting buildings. Rocket is going to be sent towards Barracuda's base. There's another factory now on the center for Energize. So in general, this island in the center of the map is going to go towards Teal. It's going to be in Teal's favor with all those producing structures. And now Kartoffel's starting to cap this location with the other town and port location to get this 2nd trade route up and going. There is 1 already completed. You can see the merchant ships for Green. Getting Green all that money. And Bigler's nearly out of energy. Cruisers take a lot of energy, we'll see, so it's 3 refineries. This 3rd refinery just showed up, so the red boats should be fine. Easy's gonna try to send a bunch of units towards the coast to defend the refinery. Somehow there's 1 infantry for Barracuda that snuck its way by and tried to get on top of the pink refinery. And the tanks aren't going to be able to do it, unfortunately. Tanks are by far the best unit on land, but the only real way to deal with this many cruisers that are shelling a building on land is to have dug-in artillery. So there goes the refinery. This definitely puts Easy on a timer. We'll see if Pink decides to start building artillery out of these 3 factories instead of tanks, because there is a finite amount of energy that Pink has at this point. And unfortunately for Pink as well, these cruisers can actually reach this refinery. Or rather, this depot. Which will stop all the Pink tanks from moving at all. Big story, I think, in this game that's developing is the fact that Kartoffel has so much money. With the 1 trade route, 2nd trade route going to happen at some point. Great landing from Energize's transport boats and Kartoffel's infantry on this island to the left. First trade route for Bigler is being worked on at the moment, still powering off of these 5 docks, pardon me, a 6th dock now completed and building its first cruiser. And good defense from Energize, starting to build up a cruiser and missile boat count. And their ally to the north, Kartoffel, now has 2 docks, in addition to that first one. And a lot of power plants, a lot of pipelines for Bravo team, sharing that energy. That's teamwork. That's what you love to see. 1 cruiser is left, but it is enough to destroy the depot. And this does, yeah, this makes easy go for artillery out of the factories. Because now Easy, as you hear with the beep beep, is entirely out of gas. The really only good thing going for Easy right now is the fact that Kartoffel has these strikers that keep getting a lot of value. We'll see if Alpha Team can... They do see the 1 barracks because it isn't in the forest. As they get as these cruisers get close to the coast, they will likely be able to see the power plant in the forest, and there it is. It shows up in the vision. Energize has a port on the way that will connect to Kartoffel's port, so more eco for Bravo Team. And in general, I would say that this is like a lot of momentum for Bravo Team right now. When we saw that top-down picture, Bravo Team has more territory capped than Alpha Team does. Barracuda is continuing to just build, like rebuild the producers close to Blue's base. This target command from the planes, it's going to be Kartoffel strikers are going to show up here and snipe this pretty quickly. But in as much trouble as Barracuda is in, Easy is in just as much trouble with his blue army very close to the producers at this point and overrunning this defensive line that Pink has set up. This impending Navy battle looks like it's coming to a head. There is way more boats for Red, so they should be able to take this with a little bit of micro. I think that Bigler can get probably all of these buildings, really. I mean, the artillery pieces here, their range is going to stop pretty much here, so if Bigler kind of pulls up into this bay, all these cruisers can hit the town, the port, the 2 docks, and then, of course, probably, maybe, sorta, kinda, the launch pad. The only thing stopping Red from doing that is these boats from Green that are showing up to defend, but it's still more cruisers for Red than Green is going to show up with. Energize clearly has this island taken care of. There's still more infantry, Kartoffel infantry off of these Energized boats that are landing here at this point. Alpha Team's vision, they can see that this landing is happening. But Bigler doesn't want to move these boats away from the refinery because it's more important that Red keeps the refineries than give up land. At least that's what I assume the calculation is, and that's what, I mean, I would agree with that. We're in a Navy game. These boats take a lot of energy. It's important to maintain all the refineries that you build. Great play from Bigler. We'll get the town, we'll clear this Green Navy as well. And now a lot more eco for Kartoffel. 3 industry, and now this town on the way. We got to keep in mind that there are 6 docks for Bigler in the bottom left. So that's a lot of naval power for Alpha Team, and on Bravo Team there's really only these 4 docks. I mean, I suppose there's a 5th, but it's going to be destroyed pretty quickly. And Easy's down to just 2 buildings. 1 factory and 1 barracks. Energize has 3 cruisers here, which is great because they're going to be able to attack some of these blue units as they pour in to try to destroy Easy's base. This prompts ADR to make this a move command so that all the units won't focus on these cruisers. They'll just try to move past them and then get into the fight. And Easy might be able to build another barracks in the forest, but it's not going to really matter because those red cruisers have surrounded this little tiny island, or whatever we want to call that. Energize now has this 1 factory launch pad which can get hit, so it is just like 1 sort of cruiser that can get close enough to actually attack this. And although there's still 5 strikers for Kartoffel, they wouldn't be able to destroy all of these cruisers before they're able to destroy the launch pad. So Energize is going to have to kind of relocate to this island. They got 2 docks, second one on the way, and then a refinery and a depot close to where Kartoffel spawned, with about 38 gazillion power plants. So Easy is knocked out of the game entirely, lost all their buildings. It was a very tough, we said at the beginning of the game, it was a tough spawn for Pink there in a 2v1 situation. I feel like 9 times out of 10, if you're in a 2v1 on your island, it's near impossible to stay alive without very quick help from your allies. So now it's a question of whether Kartoffelman's eco and what Energize has left is going to be able to 2v3 this. I mean, really, when it comes down to it, it's kind of like the closest 2v2 or 2v3, pardon me, that we would see, because Barracuda is left with this 1 town on the way, a barracks and a factory. So Orange's economy is in a lot of trouble. The countdown ticking that we're hearing is just Easy DCing from the game. Hopefully, in a future patch of Line War, that we don't have to listen to that in replays. But it is what it is. And this is super sneaky. Kartoffel's actually building a bunch of docks on the left-hand side. Alpha Team C is one of them, unfortunately, for Kartoffel. And Bigler has a good response time and sends one of the boats up here. And I suppose because Kartoffel has read that Bigler saw this, is just going to get rid of those docks and not even deal with them. And just give up. Yeah, there it goes. A huge problem for Bravo Team now is how big of a navy that Bigler has. Because there's nothing really at home, like there's no artillery pieces that are dug in, there's no overwhelming air force for Green. Yeah, the only thing that's saving Green right now is Bigler is out of energy, or dealing with a little bit of energy problems just because of how many cruisers there are on the map. So there's enough SAMs digging in that Barracuda is now fine. Barracuda is stabilized and will be okay. Bigler's sort of trying to end the game here, it looks like. Pushing 3 cruisers to the left to destroy Energize's refinery, and then the rest of the cruisers here right now are taking on a bunch of infantry from the coast. Which is good news for Kartoffel, because it allows more time. Instead of if these cruisers just ripped by everything and then started targeting all the docks. And Kartoffel's got 2 more docks in the back. Well, actually, I want to see Kartoffel's income. Yeah, it's huge. This is enormous. And we go top down. Bravo Team still has more territory. Super interesting game. Energize still has these 3 cruisers down here, which aren't really a big issue anymore. They're not really defending Easy. They're just here picking off a few blue units. And I can't tell you who's winning. Bigler's pushing up this island now. And definitely has enough to do it. Probably could turn off these producers if they wanted to. And there's 2 trade routes for Bigler that are now completed. which sort of it matches what Kartoffel will have in a second. So I think Alpha Team is going to win this game. That's the commentary. I think Alpha Team is going to win this game. There's a lot of cruisers at home still. When it comes to total dock numbers, Bigler still has more. 6 docks for Kartoffel, 2 of which have just finished. And a second airport for Kartoffel now. But the real thing that's about to happen is that Barracuda is about to rebuild, start building a navy. ADR certainly has stabilized now that they don't have to deal with Easy at all. Bigler's cruisers will clean up these 3 cruisers for Alpha Team, or for Bravo Team, and then with all these transport boats being built, I think the plan for Alpha Team would be to launch a full-scale invasion, so to speak, on Kartoffel's Island, either this forward one with all the airports, maybe even this central one where Energize had their starting base, or to be even more bold, just straight at where Kartoffel's starting base is. There are 4 docks for Energize on the left-hand side. It'll be difficult, I think, for Energize to still take this fight just because of this navy from Red that's moving up north to get into position. If we look at Bigler and Alpha Team's vision, they can't see these docks, which is good for Bravo Team. But it's certainly still a lot of boats for Red. That'd be difficult to overpower. There's nearly 4 transport boats done for Blue, and there's a lot of units between Orange and Blue that are ready to go across. I wonder where these planes, I guess, are going over here. They're gonna run into a bunch of SAMs. Yeah, I'm just lying. They're transferring to the other airport. I thought it was weird. We didn't see a command for strikers over here. They're just teasing us. There's no way that they're gonna win that fight if they fly over all those entrenched SAMs. Second city on the way for Kartoffel, who I assume has the biggest eco in the game. Bigler's at 1096. And Kartoffel's at 1134, so actually not even that far ahead. With the second city, Kartoffel will be far ahead. But this is probably the last push from Bravo Team. Great split push from Kartoffel to destroy that refinery. It is ADR's refinery though, it's not Bigler's refinery, so it's not like that will stop the Red boats from moving. And now 4 transport boats from Bigler on the left-hand side are going to make a landing. They have enough naval support to actually do it. They'll be able to land here. And I really want to see these transport boats begin to move. Port for Barracuda, which will be able to connect to Bigler's here, or sorry, ADR's here. So it'll be great income for Alpha Team. But there's really no way that Energize is going to be able to defend this, because of how many Red boats there are, and there's more cruisers and destroyers that are showing up now. Great move from Energize to build an airstrip here, so that Kartoffel can transfer some strikers to try to help in that defense. But clearly this navy alone for Red is going to be able to take this. 2 cruisers have just kind of parked out here. They're not even in the fight. And still Bigler's pretty much taking this. And there's now a very sizable amount of Red units that have landed on this island. And there's more that will reinforce. This is where the landing's going to be. It is towards Energize's island. Alpha Team opting for a more conservative and guaranteed win by pushing that close instead of just yeeting all their stuff over towards Kartoffel's starting base. Love to see it though. This airstrip from Energize that lets Kartoffel get in the fight. I didn't even realize, I found out on stream, which feels like years ago, is that the cruisers, when they shoot their machine gun like this, they actually do just as much damage as a missile boat machine gun. The more you know. All these docks that Kartoffel is building, it still unfortunately won't be enough to take on Red's navy. And yeah, I mean, this is 2 defensive lines deep of Blue Sams. And that is game. Well played. GG. Props to Barracuda for sending in this replay. And for being active in the community. So are all these players. Here's some graphs. GG, I hope you enjoyed the cast. I hope you have a wonderful night, day, evening, whatever it is. Cannot wait for AI hype. We'll see you around. Have fun on ladder. Peace.